Hey guys, it's Doc Leaf, and I am on my indoor bike. Jonah's here watching me record. He's waving. He's helping me out with my YouTube channel. And so you might be wondering why I'm recording a video while I'm riding my bike. And one of the things that really interests me is process addictions. And those are addictions that are behavioral in nature. So today, I thought I would talk a little bit, just very briefly, about exercise addiction, what it is and what it isn't, and what better way to kill two birds with one stone by getting my own exercise in for the day. And I'm exactly 1 minute and 4 seconds in, and I'm already out of breath. I will post some PowerPoints, and hopefully they'll appear somewhere here. I'm still getting used to using YouTube. So I wanted to talk about exercise addiction, and it's something that you hear a little bit about. You don't hear a whole lot about it, or compulsive exercising. And so if we're going to start a discussion about it, what we need to focus on first is what is an addiction. And I won't spend a whole lot of time going over what an addiction is, but suffice to say, it's when you do something, a substance or behavior, repeatedly, even after getting a consequence. And there's a couple key ingredients you need for there to be an addiction, because certainly people make mistakes, people make bad decisions, whether they're under the influence or they're getting new to something, someone going to college and maybe trying pot for the first time, or someone makes the poor decision to drink and drive and things like that. That doesn't always mean it's immediately an addiction. Now, if the person kept making the same mistake, then yes, we would start thinking about it. So notably, what you need to make an addiction is cravings, tolerance, withdrawal, and continued use despite consequences. So when you think about substances, you can easily imagine what some of those would be. I mentioned DUI, you get kicked out of school, you lose a job, a relationship ends because of the continued use, or maybe you have some health problems. But with process addictions, behaviors, whether it's eating or food, exercise, shopping, gambling, what do those ingredients look like? What do consequences look like? And so, yes, Jonah?
An addiction is gaming.
Your addiction is gaming. Yeah, so gaming addiction, right? So we have that on the radar. And so when I talk about drinking or substance, let's focus first on tolerance, right? You need more of whatever the thing is to get the desired effect. So drinking, at first, somebody has their very first drink, they have a shot, and that's enough to kind of make them feel the effects of alcohol, right? They kind of feel the buzzing, they go over the social lubricant, they get the effect they want. Eventually, one shot won't be enough, so then it becomes 2, then it becomes 3, right? So same with cigarettes, right? That's how we wind up where I smoke a couple cigarettes a day, all the way up to I smoke a pack a day. Oh boy, 4 minutes in. And as a person's tolerance goes up, they need more of that substance. So that's hard to quantify with a behavioral addiction. So with gambling, which by the way, gambling is the only recognized behavioral addiction in the DSM-5, right? So with gambling, it might be you need to gamble higher stakes, so more money, right? But what does it look like for exercise, right? What is tolerance when we're talking about exercise addiction? Well, it could be time spent exercising, right? To get that buzz or the feel good or the effect that I'm looking for, maybe I went from exercising for 45 minutes to an hour and a half to 2 hours, and so on. Could also be the intensity of the exercise, right? Went from walking to jogging to running to sprinting increased weight, but to get the fix, I need to increase it somehow. And so this is where a problem arises with exercise addiction, having a difficult time quantifying it, right? Yeah, we know that there are individuals who struggle with exercise addiction or compulsive exercise. And so does tolerance need to play a role in this definition of exercise addiction? Withdrawal, right? So that hangover a person has after a night of drinking, or the bone aches and body aches when someone stops using a substance, even prescription medication. If you take an antidepressant and you stop cold turkey after a few days, you might feel a little nauseous, a little dizzy, a little shaky, right? Because your body has adapted to the constant supply of the substance. So it changes how it operates. So what is withdrawal for exercise addiction? And that question expands also to the other behavioral addictions, right? Eating, shopping, gambling. What else would withdrawal look like? Well, one that I think we would see is we would probably see grouchiness, right? Discomfort, anxiety, an itchiness, a fidgetiness, right? Like, I don't know what to do because my body now has a surplus of energy because I was burning off a bunch of energy when I was going to the gym. When I was running miles and miles and miles, I was burning off this energy. The other thing the person now has an influx of is of time, right? So now I've got an abundance of energy, an abundance of time, and I don't know what to do. So I would imagine, and this happens with the clients that I've worked with, who we're kind of orbiting around this idea of exercise addiction, is kind of discomfort. I don't know what to do, right? There might be some worry about the body or performance issues, right? I'm losing my strength, I'm losing my speed, I'm gaining weight, I'm losing weight, whatever the opposite of the person's goal might be. Consequences. Well, what are the consequences of exercise addiction? And this is really difficult because exercise is really beneficial. I'm exercising right now, right? So we don't want to pathologize a productive, proactive, healthy behavior, right? The goal is never to pathologize something that is normal or healthy. Those of you that have had me in an addictions class or a diagnosis class know that I really caution people to take your time when diagnosing so that we don't accidentally overdiagnose. When there's a consequence, sometimes a consequence is just a consequence, right? What's the saying? A cigar is sometimes just a cigar, right? And so a person goes to the gym and they're late to work because they're having a really great workout. Their partner becomes uncomfortable with the amount of time they spend working out. They injure themselves, right? These things, they happen. Doesn't immediately mean it's anything more than mismanagement of time or a problem with priorities. When the mistakes keep being made for the same reason, such as going to the gym and always being late to work, getting an injury and working out despite the injury, making it worse, or getting the same injury. When relationships are ending because your partners keep saying, you're spending so much time at the gym, right? There's no time for us, or you have no energy for us, right? What happens, and this is understudied, so anybody who wants to kind of take the wheel and make a name for themselves, is there are some case studies of people with exercise addiction who it affects their intimacy, right? Their intimacy with their partners because they don't have the energy at home, or, believe it or not, I'm saving this energy. I can't be intimate because I want to go work out. I can't spend that energy. I need it for the gym, right? So these are some of the consequences. And when it happens over and over, that's when we start thinking, is there an issue here? Craving, right? So craving is a craving. People crave chocolate or pizza. Jonah craves pizza. Craving the drug of choice. People enjoy exercise. People enjoy shopping. People enjoy food. Other activities, right? The want for these things is not inherently bad. In this context, in the context of an addiction, a craving, very strong. This must happen, right? If I don't do it right now, then something terrible is going to happen. My head is going to explode if I don't do this thing. If I don't exercise right now, I'm going to lose my mind. It's screaming. Your body is screaming. And this is tenfold, if not more, when there's substances, right? Where there's this exogenous substance that the brain has gotten hooked on, and it's screaming, give us more, give us more, give us more. So with exercise, well, people think about going to the gym. I like going to the gym, right? You get the endorphins, right? You feel good doing it, right? But in this context of addiction, that want, that push is really great. It's not a thought like, yeah, no, maybe I'll go to the gym later. I really want to go to the gym sometime today. It's this must happen and this must happen now, right? So those are the basic ingredients, right? Tolerance, withdrawal, craving, consequences. There's a few others, right? I'm not going to go over here, mostly because I'm running out of breath. So, does exercise addiction exist? That's the question. And is it really any different than maybe body dysmorphic disorder or body dysmorphic disorder with muscle dysmorphia? In certain eating disorders where the compensatory behavior is exercise, right? So these are all kind of fundamentally different things that can look like exercise addiction. With exercise addiction, if I had to present a case study on it, it would be an individual who is uncomfortable in their resting state unless they exercise, right? When I go and I lift weights, when I go and I run, when I go and do whatever it is, then I feel better. And I feel good for a little bit, and then that feeling goes away. There's not necessarily a focus on the body, right? That's what would separate it from maybe bulimia, where the compensatory behavior is exercise. But with bulimia, the interest would be I ate, and you have the other symptoms. I binged, and then I need to burn all of this off. With anorexia, we have the restrictive dieting. It's entirely possible, in fact, entirely likely that a person with exercise addiction actually has a fairly healthy diet so that they can continue to do the exercise, right? What's the point of doing it? I'm not going to get my fix if I'm not well fed. Another great research question, right? For individuals who identify as having an exercise addiction or exercise compulsion, what is their diet like? How is it different from body dysmorphic disorder, right? Well, body dysmorphic disorder, we're focused, obsessed with a specific part of the body. Nose, eyes, mouth, chest, whatever it might be. And new to the DSM-5 is muscle dysmorphia, a specifier for body dysmorphia, right? So I don't have large enough muscles, right? And so again, someone who has that probably is at the gym, probably is lifting, is probably doing it frequently. But the goal here is to change that part of the body, and specifically with muscle dysmorphia, to increase the size of my muscles. Exercise addiction is the benefit, the thing that I am seeking is the exercise itself, right? The exercise, the process, hence process addiction, the process of exercise delivers to me the thing that I am looking for. The end goal is what it is, right? If I get larger, great. If I get stronger, great. That's not what I'm interested in. That's kind of a ancillary benefit. What I'm interested in is the feeling I get from the exercise. With bulimia, normative exercise, the body dysmorphia, the muscle dysmorphia, the end goal is change in one's figure, not the feeling that the exercise delivers, right? Now, there are some great studies, some interesting studies about the feelings that one gets from exercise, right? We talk about runner's high, the endorphins that come out, and that might very well be where tolerance develops. You don't get as much bang for your buck, right? So that's what brings us to 20 minutes on the treadmill. Used to be sufficient, then it became 40 minutes, then an hour and a half. Then I dabbled with the intensity and found I could get some more there. And that's how the tolerance starts creeping up, right? And so it's very difficult. How do we treat exercise addiction? Well, part of it is kind of like with any other addiction work. We need to reduce the consequences and the use. When you're doing addiction work, we're talking about change. Well, all counseling is change, right? With substance use, we need to reduce or eliminate that use. With the behavioral addictions, that's difficult because we would never tell someone, don't ever exercise again. So what does that mean? Reduction, right? Control over the exercise. And that means we gotta focus on some schema stuff, some cognitive stuff. So go back to Beck and Albert Ellis, right? Think of REBT and CBT. How are you feeling leading up to the use, to the process, to the behavior? What core beliefs are there? What assumptions are there? And then the other part, now that we know now more than ever the role of neuroscience, right? And so me constantly exercising and getting my feel good from that has now made a cause and effect, right? The neural pathways have formed that I get really anxious thinking about exercise. I feel a lot of tension. I exercise, I get the relief. I feel really good. Rinse, wash, repeat. That can be changed. That's the good news, right? We can change that. Bad news is it takes time. And ultimately, that person is going to have to reduce the exercise or change it some way without swapping addictions, right? That won't do us any good, right? We got to reduce and find a way to deal with the discomfort, deal with the withdrawal, and then reset and have healthy thought patterns around exercise. Exercise addiction is understudied, as are most process addictions, in my opinion. But they're really fascinating. And I think as we move forward, we're going to see more and more evidence that process addictions are a growing concern. And that's where all of you fantastic counselors are going to come into play. Knowing what these are, knowing that they do exist, knowing the difference between an addiction and just normative behavior, normal mistakes, normal developmental mistakes, and problematic use, right? And you'll have sufficient training on how to treat these things. And those of you that go on to do research can set up really fantastic research agendas around process addictions and exercise addiction. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm just about out of breath. I'm breaking a sweat here. I'm going to take a break. Hope all of you are doing well. I hope this was interesting and helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and I hope everyone's well. That's going to do it for me. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.